I think this entire period you've come across many people and asked them the same question over and over again. How has Corona impacted you as a person? Has it changed your life? Is it more good than bad? Is it more bad than good? Will your reviews be negative? And all of the times the questions have been yes. It's been bad. You've lost people. You've been grieving. You wish things could go back to normal. You wish they were better. But is that all there is to it? Is that all that you can look over in the past 2 years that we've been over with this? You need to realize how this all started 2 years ago, when the normal wasn't scary and you weren't always trying to find an escape with it. It's ironic how something that once gave you warmth is now what's got you on the cusp of running away. Ending of 8th and starting of 9 taught me one thing. You have to learn that you are now growing up. Growth and change are two very gradual things that you can't look over. You will be pestered, tensed, pushed just to accept the fact that you are a part of the big kids, along with boards, new senses of responsibility, and school's grade hell grade 9th. You had no one to turn to for support and advice because it was all so new and you were tripping over finding new coping mechanisms. And before you had gotten used to this, 10th had already come, the master level of the game you were playing. But word was out that boards were cancelled for both 10th and 12th. So where does that leave you and the race that you're running? What happened to all of the comparison and the competition that you have been putting up for the past 10 years? You start to realize that this is having much more of a mental impact on you than a physical one. And I had turned more into a patient than a student when I was confined in a room for 15 days like a corona test dummy. My exhaustion was on all different levels. My newest concerns were leaving my parents relieved at the end of asking me those 3 questions before they left the room. Had I eaten well? Had I done my assignments? Am I regular with schoolwork? That's it. That is the only communication I had. And I realized how I had lost track of loving myself at a quick rate. My posture, language, and happiness was all them. I think all of this pain was my breaking point to realizing how I could make my solitude my comfort spot. Pain and exhaustion is something that we hadn't normalized a lot before this period. Pain is something you're supposed to embrace. Your wounds are something you shouldn't be embarrassed of showing. You can embrace them. Maybe they're battle scars. They'll just remind you of how far you've come and what all you've put through. That's nothing you should be embarrassed of or hiding. Pain is a time of grief that you tend to hide from other people, something you keep inside you and don't want to let out, be it venting, ranting, or letting out your cries. But you don't realize how letting out yourself is also an important part. When I've been confined in that room for 15 days, I had been more mindful, insightful, and self-motivating than ever. I had shed so many layers back and forth because I was doing tiny tasks that were my escape from all of this. I was doing my dishes, I was making my bed, I was doing the laundry, all of these things which I was not used to before Corona had happened. Now I don't feel like it's a hard task living in a room for 15 days when someone has sent me outside. I don't find myself panicking or having a hard time talking to people because I have not had to put up with that anymore. You shed so many skins and layers that you're a new person once you walk outside. You start to realize that you can find tiny escapes in the smallest of things. It's the small things that count at the end of the day. Even if you've had a bad moment, even if somebody has passed away, if you've lost a bond or a relationship, you don't realize how healing and recovery is an important part, and it will gradually happen, just how your change and growth is. Healing is something you're supposed to let take you wherever it is. You're supposed to be patient with it and yourself. Time can heal all wounds. That is something that I've always lived by. Be it being laid back. Last year, I did not have a grip on myself. I was all over the place. I barely had a clue about the online classes, and this time I have much more of an experience than I did then. So even if a time does come where somebody does ask me a question like, oh hey, back in the day when the pandemic had happened, how was school for you? How was high school for you? How had you approached it? I knew that I had an answer to it and I knew I had to back someone up. I know that I can be a pole of support and guidance to somebody else, be it not myself. But while I was in that room, I had gone from being emotionally attached to things online to being more emotionally attached to things that were more around me. I had cut down on my worries and made my family's concerns my concern. I'm a part of the family and they're a part of me. The bonds were stronger than ever. The moment the world had quieted down, the things around me and my household were much more louder. I realized how I was so focused on school induced stress that I was forgetting all of the memories that I had shared with my family. Having this normal chips packet at the end of the day would always light up my mood, or how my dogs would run after me after their walk, how my mom would drag me into the kitchen while she's making milk and start dancing like a monkey, or how my brother's screaming voices on the top of his lungs while he's playing his matches would irritate me. But I found them so wholesome. I found them so warm and comforting, and I realized how much I missed them when I was in that room for those 15 days. But those 15 days gave me an opportunity to be more self motivating. I had stepped over so many big rocks and constellations that I now felt like aren't a big barrier for me. The pain gave me the time to be more courageous to harder times. I know how to face it. I have an answer, a tighter grip. I am more controlled, more dominant over myself. I don't feel like the only resolution I have with myself in the room should be my screen. I don't feel like the only resolution I have should be listening to music. That is not the only thing I have to turn to back. I have myself to turn to back to. I have my parents to go to. I have my brother to approach. I realized how all of them had more stronger bonds than me than a mere screen or an assignment that was due pending. You start to focus on things that are happening more around you than your future oriented things. Your mindset changed from being future oriented to one that is more present oriented. You start striving to get out to them and not to a future that may or may not exist. You can't possibly have your mind worry over something that is yet not happened and not focus on the things that are happening right now. When I was in that room and I came out, I wasn't used to the new me. And this was honestly just getting better and better. I was more self controlled and a much better person than I was before. Corona teaches you time to be much better with yourself, more self confident, and more self independent. So, even if you do have to spend so many days alone with yourself, you won't be bored out. If anything, it'll just give you a time of solace and comfort.